Welcome to Conspiracy Q, the show where every week we uncover the worst conspiracies in history. Buckle up, because today we're going deep, deep, deep into one of the biggest mysteries of the 20th century.
That's right. We're talking about the disappearance of Amelia Earhart.
The woman who dared to fly around the world vanished without a trace. Poof, gone.
For decades, the official story has been a simple explanation. She ran out of fuel, crashed somewhere in the Pacific. End of story. Case closed.
But let me ask you something. What if that's not the whole truth?
Precisely. And what if there's a darker, more sinister story that someone doesn't want us to know?
Oh, there is. You know there is. Because, get this, we've recently uncovered classified sources, and let me tell you, they suggest the official narrative is a complete lie.
A lie, yes. A carefully constructed cover-up, perhaps. We're talking about ignored testimonies, secret documents, and photos that just vanish into thin air. It's like a Hollywood thriller, but this is real.
Real and super creepy. So what's our mission today? Well, we're going to dissect these recently uncovered sources. We're going to pull out those crucial nuggets of information, those little clues that point to the real story behind Amelia Earhart's disappearance.
Think of it like a top-secret investigation.
A top-secret investigation, exactly. Get ready to have your understanding of history totally challenged. Okay, so let's kick things off with the most popular theory. The theory that Amelia Earhart was captured by the Japanese.
Right. And right from the start, there are things that don't add up, things that make you question everything.
Like what?
Well, for starters, think about the people who lived on the Marshall Islands back then. They saw things. They reported those things.
Yeah.
And those reports, well, they were basically ignored.
So these islanders claimed they saw a white woman and a man who matched the description of Earhart and her navigator, Fred Noonan, being taken prisoner by the Japanese.
Right. In 1937, right when Earhart vanished.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one or two people, right?
Yeah.
It was multiple islanders all saying the same thing.
Absolutely. They all independently reported seeing a twin-engine plane that looked a lot like Earhart's Lockheed Electra crash on or near Amelia Atoll.
So you've got all these eyewitnesses, people who were actually there, and yet their stories were just brushed aside. Why? That's a big red flag right there.
It is, isn't it? It makes you wonder what they were trying to hide. And it's not just the islanders. There's the story of this former U.S. Marine, Earskin J. Nabers. He comes along in the 1960s claiming he found documents, proof that Earhart was captured and held by the Japanese.
Oh, this is getting good. Tell me more about this Marine.
So according to our sources, this guy Nabers, he's all set to go public with his bombshell, but then suddenly he stops talking. He withdraws his statements and disappears from the scene.
Like someone threatened him or something.
It certainly seems that way, like powerful forces wanted to keep this information buried. It's incredibly suspicious.
Suspicious is an understatement. And then there's that photo, right? The photo that supposedly shows Earhart and Noonan on a dock in Jaluit Atoll surrounded by Japanese soldiers.
Right. This photo pops up in the National Archives in 2017, and it causes a huge uproar.
Naturally. I mean, if it's real, it's game over.
The U.S. government, of course, immediately dismisses it. They say it's inconclusive, could be anyone, blah, blah, blah.
But here's where it gets even weirder.
Yeah.
Our sources point to Japanese maritime records that confirm a ship big enough to carry a Lockheed Electra was docked in Jaluit Atoll on the exact same day that photo was supposedly taken.
Quite a coincidence, wouldn't you say?
Coincidence? I don't think so. And then, poof, the photo vanishes from the National Archives database. Gone.
Poof.
Wow.
Gone. Like it never existed. Makes you wonder what they're so afraid of.
It's almost like they're trying to erase history. Okay, so we've got the ignored witnesses, the silenced Marine, the vanishing photo. There's definitely something fishy going on here.
Fishy indeed. But let's shift gears for a moment and consider a completely different theory. The theory that Amelia Earhart wasn't just a pilot, but a spy.
Hold on. A spy?
Think about it. Her flight wasn't just some random adventure. It was meticulously planned.
Yeah.
And get this. She was in direct contact with President Franklin D. Roosevelt himself before she took off.
Okay, that is interesting. I mean, why would the president be so personally involved with a pilot's flight?
Exactly. Unless there was something more to it than met the eye.
Like she was gathering intel on the Japanese.
That's what the spy theory suggests. And it makes sense when you look at the flight path. It took her dangerously close to Japanese-controlled territory in the Pacific.
Way too close for comfort, if you ask me.
Right, so was this just a risky route for a world record attempt? Or was she intentionally flying near those areas to spy?
And don't forget about her navigator, Fred Noonan. He had connections to U.S. naval intelligence before the flight.
Ah, yes, Fred Noonan. A mysterious figure indeed. His background certainly adds fuel to the spy theory fire.
So you've got Earhart, potentially a spy,
Yeah.
flying a sensitive route near Japanese territory, with a navigator who's got intelligence ties. It's starting to sound less like a coincidence and more like a covert operation.
And then we have the curious case of Irene Craigmile Bolam. This is where things take a really strange turn.
Tell me about this Bolam woman. What's her connection to Earhart?
In the 1970s, this woman, Irene Bolam, was accused of being Amelia Earhart living under a new identity. She denied it, of course, and even sued her accusers and won.
But I'm guessing there's more to the story.
There is. According to our classified sources, there's evidence that suggests otherwise. Handwriting analysis, photo comparisons, even biometric studies, they all pointed to some uncanny similarities between Bolam and Earhart.
So was she really Earhart in hiding? And if so, why? And who was helping her?
Those are the million-dollar questions, aren't they? And here's the kicker. Her personal records were mysteriously sealed by the court.
Sealed. Why? What are they hiding?
It's all very, very suspicious. Okay, now, let's look at a slightly different angle. The castaway theory.
Okay, the castaway theory. This one's a bit more, I don't know, hopeful. Less sinister, maybe.
Maybe, maybe not. This theory centers on Nikumaro Island, which used to be called Gardner Island. In 1940, a British expedition went there and found some very interesting things. A partial human skeleton, women's shoes, and a sextant box that looked a lot like the one Noonan owned.
That does sound promising.
And here's the kicker. A forensic anthropologist, Dr. Richard Jantz, analyzed photos of those skeletal remains and concluded that there's a 99% chance they belong to someone with Earhart's exact physical proportions.
99%.
Yeah.
That's practically a confirmation. Why isn't this bigger news?
Because it goes against the official narrative, of course. It suggests Earhart didn't just crash and die. It opens up the possibility that she survived.
And that's something they clearly didn't want to admit. And that's not all. There are these accounts of people who claim to have seen Earhart or her plane after her disappearance.
Oh, yes. The silenced witnesses. Like Thomas Devine, a U.S. Army veteran who claimed he saw Earhart's plane on Saipan after the war. He even wrote a book about it.
Brave guy.
He was. He said he got threats from government agents because of what he knew. But he never backed down from his story. He even claimed that American forces found the plane and then destroyed it.
Destroyed it. Why destroy evidence? Unless they wanted to cover something up.
Exactly. And then there's Bilamon Amaran, a medical assistant from the Marshall Islands. He said he treated a white woman pilot in 1937. He gave a detailed interview about it in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And he died shortly after.
Oh, come on. That's just too convenient. And on top of all that, there are just so many unanswered questions, so many loose ends.
Like the fact that despite all the searches, they never found any wreckage of Earhart's plane in the supposed crash zone. And then there are those radio distress calls that operators picked up for days after she vanished. The government dismissed them as hoaxes, but why? What if they were real?
And then there's the ultimate proof of a cover-up, the classified files.
Oh, yes. The files marked Top Secret, Amelia Earhart Investigation. Researchers tried to access them back in 1967, but they were denied. What are they hiding in those files? It's got to be explosive.
It has to be. So let's talk motives. Why go through all this trouble to cover up the truth about Amelia Earhart? Our sources have a few theories.
The biggest one is that they didn't want to admit she was captured by the Japanese. It could have started a war.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tensions were already high between the U.S. and Japan back then.
And if she was a spy, well, revealing that would have been a huge embarrassment for the government and could have compromised national security.
And if she was alive and well, living under a new identity, like Irene Bolam, well, that would have been an even bigger scandal.
Imagine the headlines. Amelia Earhart found alive. It would have rocked the world. And it would have raised a lot of uncomfortable questions about the government's role in all of this.
So what are we left with? We've got ignored witnesses, suspicious deaths, missing evidence, classified files, and plausible motives for a cover-up. It all points to one conclusion. The official story about Amelia Earhart is a lie.
The truth is out there, somewhere. It's buried under layers of secrecy and deception.
And it's our job to uncover it. This top-secret investigation on Conspiracy Q shows us that we can't always trust what we're told. We have to keep digging, keep questioning, keep searching for the truth.
Think about all the other historical events that might have hidden truths, secrets that someone is desperately trying to keep hidden. It makes you wonder what else they're not telling us.
Exactly. Stay curious, my friends. Stay skeptical. And remember, the truth is out there. Thanks for joining us on Conspiracy Q. Remember to rate and follow to share the truth.